In a sterile room of a Chinese orphanage, a baby girl with unusual silver eyes lay alone. Born with congenital glaucoma, her condition had gone untreated for nearly 2 years, causing her pain and vision problems. The medical staff had also diagnosed her with hearing impairments, creating a world where this small child, Primrose, could neither see nor hear properly. Eventually, her birth mother made the difficult decision to relinquish her to the orphanage, where Primrose entered a life of isolation, far from the comforts most babies know. Half a world away, Erin scrolled through her Facebook feed one evening, her own children safely tucked in bed. Her husband, Chris, was likely finishing household chores while she took a moment to herself. A post caught her attention, a photo of a small Chinese girl with hauntingly beautiful silver eyes, accompanied by a description of her medical conditions and abandoned status. Something in the child's expression reached across digital space and cultural boundaries, tugging at Erin's heart. "I felt it immediately," Erin would later tell friends, a certainty that this child belonged with us. That night, she and Chris had a conversation that would change multiple lives. Though they had not previously considered international adoption, both felt drawn to this particular child. They began researching congenital glaucoma and the realities of raising a child with both vision and hearing impairments. The more they learned, the more determined they became. The path to adoption proved challenging. International adoption requires significant financial resources, funds for agency fees, travel expenses, medical evaluations, and legal documentation. Chris and Erin weren't wealthy, but they were resourceful. They organized fundraisers, took on extra work, and reached out to their community for support. Every dollar that came in felt like validation that we were making the right decision, Chris recalled. People we barely knew were contributing to bring Primrose home. After months of paperwork, interviews, and fundraising, the day finally arrived when they boarded a plane to China. The couple had prepared extensively for meeting Primrose, reading books about attachment disorders common in institutionalized children, and consulting with specialists about her medical needs. Nothing, however, could fully prepare them for the reality they encountered. When Chris and Erin arrived at the orphanage, they found Primrose in distress. The toddler was feverish, underweight, and withdrawn. She had developed habits of self-soothing that broke their hearts, rocking herself and avoiding eye contact, though her vision was too compromised for her to see much anyway. "She was much sicker than we'd been told," Erin explained. "For a moment, we worried whether she would even survive the journey home." The orphanage staff explained that Primrose had never learned to drink from a bottle properly, often aspirating liquid into her lungs. She had spent much of her young life without physical affection or consistent caregiving, typical challenges in understaffed institutions. Despite her fragile state, the necessary paperwork was completed, and Primrose legally became their daughter. The new family spent several days in a Chinese hospital, where doctors worked to stabilize Primrose's condition before clearing her for international travel. During this time, Erin and Chris took turns holding their new daughter, determined that she would never again feel abandoned. "Even when she pushed us away, which she did often, we stayed close," Chris said. "We wanted her to know that we weren't going anywhere." The flight home tested everyone's endurance. Primrose, still adjusting to being handled regularly, alternated between periods of rigid resistance and exhausted sleep. Fellow passengers offered sympathetic glances as the new parents worked tirelessly to keep their daughter comfortable. At home, Primrose's new siblings, a brother and sister who had seen their parents prepare for months, approached their new family member with gentle curiosity. The older sister quickly discovered she had a talent for making Primrose giggle, while the brother became protective, alerting his parents whenever Primrose seemed uncomfortable. The first month brought both progress and challenges. Primrose needed medical attention for her glaucoma, with specialists developing a treatment plan to preserve her remaining vision. Hearing aids were fitted to amplify the sounds she could detect. Each medical appointment represented both hope and hurdles. At home, the family worked to build trust. Primrose had spent over 2 years learning that crying brought no comfort, so she rarely expressed her needs vocally. Erin and Chris established routines, ensuring Primrose could anticipate mealtimes, bath times, and bedtimes. "We realized that predictability was the foundation of trust for her," Erin explained. "When she could count on certain things happening at certain times, she began to count on us as well." A mother's reflection. Just over a month after bringing Primrose home, Erin wrote a heartfelt tribute to their journey. With poetic vulnerability, she described the exhaustion and uncertainty of new parenthood, especially when that parenthood begins with a toddler who has experienced trauma. "These are mama eyes that only shut for 4 hours last night," she wrote, "and hands that held and patted a baby's back for 45 minutes straight just to constantly remind her someone's here. A heart sure she's screwing up somehow, at least 1,000,000 times a day. A head full of questions, anxiety, and fear. She's a mess, a total mess, and life has flipped on its very head." But the reflection wasn't just about the challenges. Erin acknowledged the profound transformation in Primrose's life. This is a baby who just 38 days ago didn't know the comfort of being held most of the day. She didn't know that someone would come to her when she called out in a sweet baby language. She didn't know that she could eat from a bottle without breathing the liquid straight into her tiny lungs. She had no idea that a big sister could cuddle you better than anyone, and a big brother could tickle you into fits of giggles. Primrose's medical journey remains ongoing. Regular appointments with ophthalmologists monitor her glaucoma and explore surgical options that might preserve her remaining vision. Audiologists work to maximize the effectiveness of her hearing aids, and developmental therapists help her catch up on milestones missed during her early years. The emotional journey continues as well. Trust builds slowly for a child who learned early that adults might not return. Primrose still struggles with certain forms of physical contact and can become overwhelmed in stimulating environments. However, the family celebrates each sign of progress. The first time she reached for Erin rather than pulling away, the morning she waited expectantly for Chris to lift her from her crib, the afternoon she fell asleep in her sister's arms. "We move in the face of all the fear because of our kids, don't we?" Erin wrote. "We watched her fight for her life, wept tears over her feverish body, and fought through third-world hospitals pretending to be brave because that's what mamas and daddies do." For Primrose, the silver eyes that once marked her as different have become part of her unique beauty in a family that celebrates her exactly as she is. While her early years were marked by isolation and neglect, her story continues in a home where she is cherished and supported, one day at a time. As Chris noted with quiet confidence, she's learning to trust us, and we're learning to be the parents she needs. It's happening slowly, but it's happening.